Welcome back to my channel, friends. This is Sonia here, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you guys do not miss out any of our update. Now this tutorial is really interesting because usually what we do is we just make the trays, we don't do the coasters, but here we are going to make one. So here are the supplies, the wooden coasters, of course the base what we will be needing. Then I will be using my varnish at the end of the tutorial. Do not miss out that because I'll be sharing some important details. My decoupage glue, or you can even use your Mod Podge. Permanent pads, really important. Massive stamp, one of the must buy. And then of course I'm going to use my flat brushes. Somewhere I might be using my round brushes too. And then here I will be using my sponge dauber to remove all the wrinkles and bubbles from my decoupage art. And of course the decoupage napkin, this is really important. Now this is a leftover piece from this particular tray, and you can see I'm making a matching coaster with these trays. So I'll just keep this aside so that I know where and what I have to do. So now these are the bases which I have, and I'm going to do good 2-3 coats of gesso, and I'm going to use this leftover napkin. I always say that do not waste any of your craft supplies. So this is one of the perfect tutorial on how to make your matching coasters, and I have created this one tray with just one napkin, and I'm still making my 4 coasters with this. So I'm just trying to arrange my coaster and see that how I am going to put up my napkin on my coaster base. And this is really important to know hands off in advance that how and what kind of design you want for your coasters. Now I am going to repeat the pattern which is there on the tray. I'm going to do a little bit of mix match here and there. So I think I have finally decided that I'm going to use it on 2 pieces of the similar designs. Now like I said, here we are going to use our gesso. Gesso is really important because if you do your decoupage art on the brown surfaces, it might not pop out really well. So you need to have white color gesso. Do not use acrylic paints at all. I absolutely love and prefer having my white color gesso. So here first I'm going to do my first coat of gesso with a brush on camera, and off camera I did around 2 more coats of gesso with my sponge dauber. The more you do it with the sponge dauber, the more smooth your surface will be for your decoupage art. Now this is really important, and do make sure that you let it dry very nicely. So I'm going to repeat this process for all my coasters, and I will be making sure that I apply generous amount of white gesso on my decoupage art coaster making. Now whenever I'm doing a decoupage art, I do make sure that I prep up my base, and this is one of the most important step to follow during your technique whenever you're doing your DIY decor ideas. So once I'm done with it, this is how the transition looks like from this plain boards to these beautiful white color bases for my decoupage art. These are absolutely ready to work on. Now whenever I'm saying that you need to use your decoupage glue or your Mod Podge, make sure you have a good quality supply so that makes a lot of difference. Now here I'm going to use my generous amount of decoupage glue. If you are liking this tutorial, let me know in the comment section below. So here I'm applying my generous amount of decoupage glue, and I'm using my flat brush same. So usually whenever I'm doing my decoupage art, especially for the coasters and the tray making, I use my flat brushes. I absolutely love them because they evenly spread the glue or the paints, whatever you are using. So here in this one, I am going to use my glue on each coaster at a time, and then I'll start sticking on my base. Now for sticking this, I am going to use my another flat dry brush, and this works out really well. You take any of your dry flat brush, apply it very nicely, just stick your napkin and just dab it with your flat brush, and if required you can use your sponge dauber. It hardly makes any difference, and yes, this way you will never ever have any of the wrinkles or bubbles in your decoupage art. So if you can see this, once I'm done with one coaster, I'll just keep it aside. I'm not cutting my napkins right now because I just want to make sure that I do it very evenly, the design separation part. Now I will be repeating the same process for all the coasters, and I will be applying a lot of decoupage glue and Mod Podge. I will spread it evenly, and then I'm going to stick my napkin. So like here you can see, here I'm almost done with my second pattern also, and they look absolutely gorgeous. And once you feel that yes, you need to add a little more glue, your Mod Podge, feel free to add it to, especially to the corners and edges. That will make sure that your decoupage napkin or your rice papers or even your decoupage papers are sticking really well. Once I'm done with the sticking part, now here I'm just going to use my sponge dauber. Like I always say that I use my sponge dauber to remove all the wrinkles and bubbles from my base. So I'm just going to press it really well. Once this is done, with my scissors I'm going to cut this off. Initially I thought I'll be doing my brush water technique, but later on I realized I really don't have to put too much of effort for that. So here I'm just trimming off all the napkin and my coasters from the whatever the leftover pieces are, and they're absolutely looking gorgeous. But like I said, I'm making a set of a tray with the nap coasters, so I just want to make sure that I do it very similar to my tray. Now once the napkin has dried out completely, it's time to use my sandpaper and remove all the excessive paper from the sides. Now here is a tip: always use your sandpaper from your decoupage napkin to your base. This way you will not ruin your decoupage art, and your coasters will look super smooth. The edges will be looking very smooth. Here I'm using a sandpaper. If you want, you can use your nail filers, or you can just trim it down with your scissors, whatever the option works out for you. Like personally, I'm a huge fan of sandpaper whenever it comes to decoupage art, and I absolutely love trimming down my napkins or my rice papers or my decoupage papers with my sandpaper. And when I was in USA, I had actually found out an very nice filer which used to last very long when I was doing my decoupage art. And usually the metal ones, the filer doesn't work out that well, but that particular piece was so good. Maybe I'll try to post that link in the description box. And here, whatever the supplies I'm using, I have already mentioned all the details in the description box. You guys can check that. Now here I'm almost done with my sanding part, and this is really important. Do not miss out this step. This makes your project look really neat. Now once I'm done with this, before moving to my any other work, I need to make sure that I apply varnish to it. Now why varnish? Because we are still not done with our project, but we need to have varnish because the moment you do the varnish work, you seal your project. When you are sealing your project, that means if you do anything else on the decoupage art, on the napkin or the rice papers or the decoupage papers, it is not going to get ruined. It is not going to absorb any color, which we really don't want here. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply good one coat of varnish. Just one coat of varnish is sufficient, and I absolutely love this varnish. I'll share the link in the description box. You guys can check that. So just one coat of varnish, let it dry for some time, and once this is done, then we can move on to our next step. It's time to move on to the final step of stamping. So yeah, I absolutely love massive stamps. So here is the difference what I have created. On the tray, the stamping what I've used are the fine ones, but with my coasters I just wanted to highlight it a little more. So, and I wanted my stamping to be a little more prominent to fill up the empty area which I have kept for doing a mixed media art technique. So here I'm going to use my bigger script size stamp, and this just looks perfect. Now with the ink pad, you need to make sure that you use your permanent ink pads. Only this way you will make sure that your ink does not smudge whenever you are doing any coat of varnish, sealing or any other color to it. So here I'm just using my permanent ink pad and I'm making sure that I'm stamping on all the bases. Once this is done, I just wanted to use my ink pad to give a nice shabby effect to it. So I did not wanted the clean and the sharp edges of my coaster, so I'm just brushing off my same ink pad. Now the best part about the permanent ink pads is that you do any of the layer of work on it with your gesso, varnish or anything, or colors, anything, it does not smudge at all, and this gives a very nice effect to my project. I absolutely love doing this, and this makes a lot of difference, and you can see that in person. I know in video this one is not clear, but try to check out the pictures at the end, you will be able to see that. So this is something which I absolutely love doing, and this is one of my favorite step with my ink pads. Now my coasters are already looking so amazing, and now it's time to seal up my coaster. Now if you have seen my tray tutorial, if not, I'll share that link in the description box, you guys can check that. And if you have seen that, you know that why decoupage seal work is very important. So here I'm going to use my varnish. I will be adding 3 layers of varnish, not together. So I'll do my first coat of varnish, then I'll let it dry for a day, then I'll do the second coat of varnish, and then again I'll let it dry for a day, and then I'll do my third coat of varnish, and that's how your project gets completed. So this is one of the important steps which you should never ever forget, and do make sure that you let them dry really well. And with this, my tutorial is done. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please do let me know your feedbacks in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to hear. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care and bye bye.